If you were a kid growing up in the 80s, chances are you were obsessed with ninjas. Of course, first to spring to mind is Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe character debuting in 1982 and instantly becoming a fan favorite. The less said about Snake Eyes' most recent movie, the better. It ain't great, because it doesn't hold a candle to the granddaddy that really jump-kicked the ninja craze into high gear. 1981's Enter the Ninja, a Canon Films classic. Hold on to your katana. Let's go. It was perhaps perfect synergy that the ninja craze coincided with the rise of Canon Films under the reign of Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus. Canon was notorious, but also beloved, for their schlocky, low-budget action flicks, many of which we've covered right here on Real Action. Their reach would eventually exceed their grasp, but Canon had the right idea more often than not, especially when it came to following the hot trends. Kung Fu was gigantic in the 70s, and following the release of Eric Van Lilstater's 1980 crime novel, The Ninja, everyone became obsessed with the mystery and mysticism of ninjutsu. When big Hollywood adaptation of that book crashed and burned, Canon swooped in to make their own ninja story, an Americanized version, of course, that would star aging Italian heartthrob Franco Nero. Excuse me? What? That's right, Franco Nero. And trust me, this would be the start of a thing with white guys cast to play the Japanese most deadly warriors. Nero, however, wasn't the first choice. The aging actor only took over the lead ninja role later because he happened to be in the Philippines at the time, and so he replaced Mike Stone, a stuntman and karate champion who developed the story and brought it to Golan and Globus himself. This will be just the first of some unusual changes behind the scenes. Journeyman filmmaker Emmett Alston was named as director of the film, but by the time production actually started, it was Golan behind the camera, preferring to oversee this one himself.
A director was sent to do it.
They sent a bad show the first 3 days of dailies. I remember him saying, it looks like a 100-year-old television show. This movie's a disaster. Look how he's shooting this guy, he's a piece of wood.
And look, it's just a weird yet strangely awesome movie that is, I shit you not, like a bunch of American dudes said, let's make one of those chopsaki ninja movies. The first thing you'll notice about Enter the Ninja is the incredible, attention-grabbing opening credits. Imagine the luxuriant James Bond openings, only with ninja performing cool fighting techniques. The ninja all dressed in black against that pitch black background is played by Sho Kosugi, and there will be more about him later. But this first introduction to Kosugi is a stunner. It must have been incredible to see back in the day. You think this deadly looking ninja is the movie's hero, but nope. In comes the white-clad rival with a jump kick that sets everything into motion. The casting of Nero is odd, but it begins to make more sense as the movie unfolds. Nero plays Cole, an American trained in the art of Japanese ninjutsu. The opening sequence, while a bit clunky because Nero was not as young as he used to be and hardly what anyone would call in peak physical condition, finds Cole easily massacring a slew of colorfully clad ninja. For a bunch of skillful ninja who rely on stealth, these fools decided the Crayola garb was a wise choice. Red? Really? Anyway, we come to find out this was all a test, one in which many ninja clearly die, and Cole graduates with flying colors. Everyone is cool with it, but oh wait, there's that black suited ninja again. We find out his name is Hasegawa, and he isn't happy that Cole was one of the clan. Probably the whole Gaihin thing, right?
He is no ninja!
The story picks up when Cole heads to Manila in the Philippines to meet up with old war buddy Frank Landers. After accosting Frank's wife Marianne, and trust me, this is nothing compared to what they get into later, Cole learns that they're being harassed by a villainous land grabber who's bullying their plantation workers. Because of this, Frank has lost his mojo. All he does is drink, gamble on cockfights, and sleep. He's in such despair he can't even satisfy his wife. Don't worry, Cole's got your back on that score, buddy.
You'll be staying with us for a while.
Abue, welcome. Sir, you want me to set up a cockfight for your guest?
Cole, being a heroic ninja dude, decides to stick around and help his friends fight off the bad guys, who eventually realize the only way to stop a good guy with a shuriken is a bad guy with a shuriken. Here's where the casting of Nero starts to fall into place. While he's certainly not of the right physicality for the role, and was doubled for most of the fight sequences, Nero is the original Django. He built his career on spaghetti westerns, playing the cowboy who comes to the town's rescue, and that's essentially the plot of Enter the Ninja. It is a very Americanized story with a lot of ninja mumbo jumbo thrown in. So this is why canon was so amazing. You had Django playing a ninja who, and you'll excuse me for this, cucks his buddy, fights a guy with a hook hand, and clashes swords with Sho Kosugi. God damn, I love canon. They're just the best. Anyway, the oddball casting and weird dubbing to hide Nero's thick accent aside,
Does she always greet your friends with a shotgun?
Enter the Ninja is legit as hell. Canon was actually quite deft at hiding its star's lack of martial arts ability, and would employ this tactic liberally in the upcoming Ninja sequels. The opening sequence alone finds Cole murdering his own brethren, employing all sorts of cool ninja weapons in the process. Later, we'd see him employing poison darts, sai, katana, bola, arrows, pretty much everything out of the ninja arsenal. That includes nunchucks, of course. And who doesn't love a good nunchuck display?
Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
It's the simplicity that works. People don't want to see an overly complicated ninja story. They just want to see swift ninja clashes and, well, I mean, they weren't all swift, but Enter the Ninja has plenty of cool combat. There's a pretty good sense that everyone was sort of in on the joke too, because the supporting cast are utterly ridiculous. Will T. Hare of Silent Night, Deadly Night fame is a riot as Dollars, this joyously sneaky old man and the town fountain of information. If there's a dirty secret to be found, this is the guy that can dig it up. For a price, of course. The bad guys are all a bunch of elitist snobs, including Zaki Noy as The Hook, and big bad land grabber Charles Venarius, played by Christopher George. This guy is so full of himself that, when the Landers turn down his offer to buy their land, he feels fully justified sending goons out to kill them. Not only that, but he has zero loyalty, as his right-hand man Mr. Parker eventually finds out when he gets shot by his own boss.
And now I'm gonna kill you.
George's eventual death by shuriken was so ridiculously overdone, it has since become a meme, spread around the internet by people who probably have no idea what movie it comes from. And you know what? That's just a crying goddamn shame. Suzanne George as Marianne Landers is a real steamy number too. She's interesting because Right away, we can see that she really wears the pants in that family, since Frank is drunk most of the time. She actually has pretty decent chemistry with Nero, which shouldn't be surprising given his legendary career opposite some of the greatest actresses in the world, many of which he eventually dated. The funny thing is, Enter the Ninja didn't do anything for Nero. He openly hated that his Italian accent needed to be dubbed because he couldn't accurately voice Cole, who's a Texan.
A true ninja doesn't kill. He eliminates, and only for defensive purposes.
Nobody was talking about him as this badass ninja when it was over anyway. Instead, everyone was blown away by Sho Kosugi as Hasegawa. Despite the rather brutal fate that meets Hasegawa, the decision was made to bring Kosugi back for a pair of awesome sequels, Revenge of the Ninja and Ninja 3: The Domination. In both of those films, he'd play entirely different heroic characters, and would go on to lead the ninja boom of the 80s, including in awesome films such as Force of the Ninja and 9 Deaths of the Ninja, both directed by Emmett Alston. While Golan taking over as director might seem strange, it wasn't that out of place for him. He was just a year removed from helming The Apple, this bizarre retelling of the story of Adam and Eve as a futuristic disco opera. It's like an acid trip gone bad. Golan talked about the experience of making Enter the Ninja and what inspired him to do it. Quote, "It started when Chinese karate films became popular. I looked for something new in Asian martial arts and found information about the ninja culture in an encyclopedia. The ninja were middle-class people in Japan, lawyers, government clerks, etc. It was a secret organization that helped the feudal government. It actually preceded the Chinese karate battles. They used very special methods, developing their sixth sense. That fascinated me, and I said I could write stories out of it. So he made Enter the Ninja and American Warrior later on. Many imitations followed," unquote. Enter the Ninja was a huge hit for Cannon, scoring over $15 million on a budget of just $1.5 million. But most importantly, it launched a cultural phenomenon that would last throughout the decade. Speaking for myself, Enter the Ninja and its sequels were constants with me and my friends. They would play in the background at birthday parties, and we would pretend to be ninja all of the time. Try as it might, Hollywood has never found a way to get it right again. Every time they try, they keep coming up snake eyes. What you think about that one, Franco? Enter the Ninja gets 8 out of 10 Stallones. We've talked a lot about Cannon films here at Real Action, and for good reason. No other studio made a bigger mark in the 80s with their brand of over-the-top, low-budget, big payoff action flicks. As run by Israeli cousins Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus, Cannon not only knew how to follow the trends, but to start some of their own. They helped kick off the ninja craze of the 80s with Enter the Ninja, and as fun as that was, its star Franco Nero, well, not so much. It was awesome co-star Sho Kosugi who caught everyone's attention, and so Cannon enlisted him for 1983's Revenge of the Ninja, the awesome second chapter of Cannon's Ninja Trilogy. Only a ninja can stop a ninja. Let's go. So while they call it the Ninja Trilogy, Cannon's trio of flicks are completely disconnected from one another, except for the presence of Sho Kosugi. Say what you want about Cannon Films and the eventual path to destruction that they took, but they knew how to create action stars and how to follow trends. Enter the Ninja was a natural step from the martial arts flicks of the 70s, and while it was a hit, people wanted to see the guy who smashed it as the villain, Kosugi, get his moment to shine without having to carry someone like Nero. So enter Revenge of the Ninja, in which Kosugi plays the good guy, Sho Kosugi, whose Japanese family is wiped out by a clan of ninja rivals. And this opening sequence is no joke. We're talking women getting gutted, and even a little kid taking a throwing star to the dome. Ruthless. But it's a tone setter, because when Sho shows up and sees all the death around him, he goes wild and kicks the shit out of the ninjas all by himself. When the fighting is over, he hangs up his sword and takes up his American friend Braden's offer to open a Japanese art gallery in America. An odd place of employment for a ninja. You'd think he'd be like personal security or a sushi chef or something. Perhaps he should have, because Cho finds out the gallery is actually just a front for a drug smuggling operation, discovered by his curious young son, because kids always ruin a good thing. The whole criminal ring is being led by a mysterious ninja who isn't afraid to kill anyone who gets in his path. Revenge of the Ninja is a far and away superior film to Enter the Ninja, and it all starts with the casting of Kosugi. A renowned karate champion, Kosugi was simply able to pull off athletic feats that Nero wouldn't have dared attempt. He instantly gave the film credibility, which, when you're living in the time of Bruce Lee and other martial arts greats, was priceless in the world of movie making. Kosugi was more than just a star, however. He also did the fight choreography, and there's some spectacular stuff here that Western audiences had never laid eyes on before. This was 1983, and American moviegoers had yet to get the full Jackie Chan experience, so it was Kosugi who introduced them to the agile, acrobatic style they would become accustomed to years later. It's safe to say that, along with Bruce Lee, Kosugi was among the first true crossover martial arts stars. And he deserves that title because Kosugi is incredible. There's an entire sequence here that starts with a fight and extends to a car chase with Kosugi running down a speeding vehicle and hanging on for dear life before crashing through the windshield that is better than anything you'll find in any action movie in the decade. While Kosugi was the perfect choice for this, the other part of the equation was director Sam Firstenberg. While Cannon Films' head Menahem Golan caused a stir when he took over the direction of Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja was Firstenberg's show. The pairing was spot on. Firstenberg's camera is more than capable of keeping pace with the frenetic Kosugi and coming up with some really unique combat scenarios that make the best use of the actors and the ninja weaponry on display. That's another thing this movie does really well. Show off the complete ninja arsenal, which isn't just relegated to swords, knives, and nunchucks. There's also ninja mysticism that, while a bit corny when put on display, captured the imaginations of young kids everywhere who just thought it was some cool mumbo jumbo. Firstenberg would become a Cannon staple, whose career was forever tied to the ninja boom. He would go on to direct the killer final chapter of the Ninja Trilogy, Ninja 3: The Domination. Having a big hand in the star-making turn of Michael Dudikoff, Firstenberg would direct the actor in American Ninja and American Ninja 2: The Confrontation. He would follow that with the extremely controversial, racially charged anti-war film Riverbend, which has exactly 0 ninjas in it, and break into Electric Boogaloo, which has Lucinda Dickey, who starred in Ninja 3 The Domination alongside Kosugi, so it was at least ninja adjacent. Kosugi helped make Revenge of the Ninja a family affair as well. In what would become a fairly typical thing for Kosugi, he cast his son Kane Kosugi as, well, Cho's son Kane. Yeah, the little brat who started this whole mess. Kane would become part of an 80s trend of little kids kicking ass on the big screen. Kane is actually quite the little badass too, getting one really great fight with sexy co-star Ashley Ferreira, even though you can tell he can't resist gawking at her shurikens.
My karate training is more than enough. I just want you to teach me the way.
Well, if you want to work out, you forgot your pants.
You really think I forgot?
Kane and his brother Shane would appear in more films alongside their father, usually as comedic siblings, in films such as Pray for Death and Black Eagle, which featured an early role for some dude named Jean-Claude Van Damme? Van Damme. Wonder whatever happened to that guy. Kane also starred as Ryu Hayabusa in my all-time favorite live-action video game adaptation, DOA Dead or Alive. Look, don't judge me, okay? Kosugi wasn't all alone in carrying the action either. Keith Vitale, a karate champion once ranked #1 in the world, has a decent role as Cho's well-intentioned friend Dave Hatcher. Dave won't take no for an answer when asking to help Cho in his ninja fight, and, well, he pays a pretty steep price for being such a Boy Scout. But it seems like everyone in this movie can fight. Even grandmother knows her stuff until, well, she probably should have stuck to baking cookies like the other grandmas. There's also a really weird role for professional wrestler, martial artist, and the Running Man Sub-Zero, Professor Tanaka, as a lecherous sumo who gets too handsy and pays for it. Sure, it's been 40 years, but I still want people to discover this movie for themselves, so I won't give away the actor who plays the evil Silver Devil Ninja. However, stuntman Steve Lambert took over when there was any fighting that needed to be done because the other actor wasn't capable. And Lambert is actually really impressive. He and Kosugi choreographed a lot of the action, and Lambert also played other ninja who got their butts whooped. Despite lacking Nero's star power, Revenge of the Ninja did nearly as well as Enter the Ninja, earning around $14 million at the box office while doing even better in VHS sales. That might not sound like a ton, but the film cost only $750K. This was the Canon's sweet spot, and if they had just stuck to that rather than flushing away millions on films such as Life Force, Over the Top, and more, who knows? Maybe they'd still be around chugging away. Then again, Canon also had a way of pissing off their biggest stars too. Kosugi was no different. While he would return for 1984's Ninja 3 The Domination, Kosugi would split from Canon over money disputes. What else? It would never have quite the same impact. He got out of the movie business for a long time, but would make a splashy return in 2009's Ninja Assassin, playing the villainous Lord Ozuno. The ninja boom sort of fizzled out shortly after the Ninja Trilogy anyway, but perhaps it would have lasted longer if the relationship between Kosugi and Canon had stayed tight. In a way, it's nuts that this film became so popular with kids. My friends and I used to have sleepovers and watch Revenge of the Ninja. It's incredibly violent, with Kosugi alone killing 16 people in increasingly lethal fashion. But there's a reason Revenge of the Ninja is considered among the best action movies Cannon ever produced. And we may not see its like again for a long time. Revenge of the Ninja gets 9 out of 10 Stallones. So you brought him up, Sho Kosugi. I think between him and you guys were like largely responsible for the ninja craze of the 80s. I was, like I said, I was a kid growing up in the 80s, and I was obsessed with ninja because of the movies you two did together. Talk to me a little bit about him, what he was like on the set of Revenge of the Ninja, your first time really working together.
Okay, Sho Kosugi, it's interesting. A subject that came up this morning on an email. I thought I was emailing with somebody. I did not know anything about martial art. I mean, I knew that there are dojos and kids are practicing martial art, karate. At the time, it was karate, kung fu and karate. But I didn't know anything. I'm not part of this world. I'm not athletic anyway. I was never part of this world. Never met anyone who was practicing any martial art. And then I met Sho Kosugi, and I didn't understand. Sho Kosugi was not only a martial artist, black belt, champion of Japan, sensei with hundreds of students, with schools. I did not understand what it means because I met him one-on-one. Later, I met him with his students. I understood his status. But at that point, I didn't understand nothing. So the nice thing, again, later on, I met people who are very vigilant about the purity of martial art. Luckily, Sho Kosugi was crazy about Hollywood. His ambition was to become Hollywood star, not to become martial arts star. He wanted to be Chuck Norris. So this is different from people which I met later, which are purists about martial art. So this was good, because we both had the same direction that we were striving for. And he was gracious to me. Again, I did not understand his status in the world of martial art at all. I didn't know at the beginning. So he was gracious. He was open to me. And you know, he understood. He saw that I don't understand, I don't know anything. And he taught me. He took me in my hand and into the world of martial arts, specifically the world of ninja, which was totally unfamiliar, by the way, in the Western world at all. And and he showed me sequences, etc. Then, on the reverse side, on the set, when he was choreographing fights, when he was putting together the martial art fight, I did not intervene in the stage of planning, because I understood immediately by instinct that he knows not much more than me, like a millionfold than me, in this how to put together a martial art. And on the set, he was always surrounded by 8 of his students. It was a crew, and together they had their own language, and they put together sequences. And usually they came, when they were ready, they came and showed me. So there was always this, there is a moment of rehearsal or something. They show the director the sequence. And and if I had to judge it, or if I had to veto anything, it was not on the movement. My intervening was not on the pure movements of martial art, but rather I always strive that every sequence, even if it's a fight sequence, will have a little story within it. Not just 2 people chopping at each other. There is a little story. The good guy goes down, the bad guy prevails, the villain prevails, then the hero takes over. There is a little drama. So my comments, my veto, my encouragement was always on the storytelling of the fight sequence, of the wave that the fight goes down and up and ended up in a crescendo, reaches a peak at the end, that it's satisfying, that it's exciting. Not again, I said, not just 2 people tackling each other endlessly with no end. So and he understood, and he respected my point of view. I respected his point of view. Now, the truth is that many cultural, I did not sync with him on few cultural elements. He came from Japan. another completely different set of cultural codes. I came from Israel, completely, Israelis are very direct, are very open, not like the Japanese, which are full of ceremonial and codes of behavior, etc. So here and there we clashed. Our biggest clash was actually post-production later. When we finished the movie, that's a good story. When we finished the movie, we realized the editing was done. It's hard to understand Sho. Sho had a very heavy, at least at that time, very heavy Japanese accent. It was very hard to understand it. So naturally, in the Hollywood mechanism, we hired an actor, a voice actor, to replace his voice and do it in a Japanese accent, but Americanized English Japanese accent.
Yeah.
And I didn't even bother to ask his permission, not even to let him know that we are doing it, because in our professional mind, you do just the best thing for the movie. You don't ask the star. Yeah. Eventually, we had the first screening of the movie, edited music, and Sho is invited. Of course, he was a major part of the movie. And he's sitting there, and he realized that it's not his voice. He came to me at the end of the screening. And he was so mad. Maybe not at the fact that we did it, but at the fact that I did not ask him. He's such a important sensei with so many followers, and I didn't even bother to tell him that I'm changing my voice.
Was he mad?
So this was a major clash between.
Was he?
I said, Sho, this is standard procedure.
He was mad.
You should have asked me, etc. It was a matter of honor.
He wasn't mad. He wasn't angry.
Respect and honor.
Okay. That's cool. That's an awesome story. Only a ninja can destroy a ninja. Through 2 movies in Canon Films' Ninja Trilogy, that saying has come to be the recurring theme throughout. But it gets put through the ringer like never before with one of the most insane films to ever spring from the maniacal minds of Golan and Globus. Ninja 3: The Domination. A film that can charitably be described as a Flashdance, The Exorcist, martial arts fever dream. Only canon, I tell you. Only canon. In the 2 previous reel actions, we've talked about Canon Films and how expert they were in spotting the hot trends and cashing in. One of those was the ninja craze of the 1980s, which they can rightfully be thanked for with Enter the Ninja and Revenge of the Ninja. At the center of these films was the brilliant martial artist and legit ninpo badass Sho Kosugi, who played 2 completely different roles in the earlier ninja films and returns for Ninja 3 in yet another wildly different role. But then, everything about this one is wildly different. They probably could have put that in the title, Ninja 3, Wildly Different Edition. Because this time, Sho would do more than just fight another ninja. He'd be a one-eyed seeker of justice battling the demonic spirit of an evil ninja who has possessed the body of a part-time fitness instructor and line worker named Christy. Say what? Yeah, Ninja 3 isn't content to just be about ninja battling ninja. Golan and Globus, once again spotting the trends, picked up on the red-hot popularity of 1983's Flashdance, combined with paranormal horror flicks such as Poltergeist, to make one of the weirdest concoctions ever. Only Canon could make this stuff work. Canon was quick to follow up on the success of Enter the Ninja and Revenge of the Ninja, but they wanted this 3rd film in the trilogy to be something different. So they cast newcomer Lucinda Dickey to be both the protagonist and the antagonist. As Christy, the physically fit Dickey put on quite a show, so much that she impressed Cannon, who cast her in both Breakin' and the sequel, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. In fact, it was Breakin' that actually was released first, with Ninja 3 riding the wave of Dickie's newfound stardom. Electric Boogaloo would quickly follow, with all 3 films being released in 1984. This is what happens when everyone is hopped up on speed. But Dickie's ascension meant that somebody had to take a step back. Sho Kosugi, who became the face of the ninja craze and one of Cannon's biggest stars, wasn't happy about seeing his role diminished. Sure, he still got to play a ninja hunter on the trail of the ninja who had murdered his clan, took his eye, and possessed Christie's body, but this was her film and not his. Christie not only goes on a killing spree across the city, hunting down the cops who filled the ninja's body full of bullets, but she also gets a steamy relationship with, oh my god, she's being mauled by that walking carpet. Oh, whew, that's just co-star Jordan Bennett, who plays Christie's cop boyfriend Billy Secord, despite a desperate need for a shave and an apparent appreciation for V8. Billy's one of the good guys. A little naive for failing to notice that his girlfriend is a ninja serial killer, but hey, what guy hasn't been blinded by love, am I right? Sam Firstenberg, who directed Kosugi in Revenge of the Ninja, returned to helm this 3rd film as well. Again, Sam shows his skill at crafting believable, easy to follow action scenes. Of course, Kosugi was once again handling fight choreography, which was a big help. The best scene is right off the bat. Notice that in each ninja film, they hook you with an absolutely massive bloodbath scene. This one takes place on a golf course where the ninja, played by future Indie Spirit Award nominee David Chung, massacres a bunch of pompous rich dudes and one innocent woman before they can get in their 18 holes. How rude! He then goes on to slaughter pretty much the entire police department before they finally figure out they have the numbers and overwhelming firepower to take him down. What's impressive about this is how long the killing goes on. Pretty sure it was as long as an actual golf match. Later, the cops will put on their best stormtrooper act, missing every shot at Christie during a chase and graveyard battle that is both awesome and comical. Pretty sure those headstones are made out of chalk. Sam's spoken quite frequently, including with us here at Real Action, about the decision not to have Kosugi be the lead. Sam didn't get the decision, but as a professional filmmaker, he went along with it. Kosugi was adamantly against the idea of a female ninja. It took a lot of work to get Kosugi to return, but Sam did it by having Christie not really be a ninja, just possessed by a male one. Kosugi was cool with that.
It's over now.
In retrospect, Kosugi might be pretty happy they didn't have to do some of the stuff Dickie had to do. Dickie had a blazingly short acting career with only 3 lead roles to her credit before retiring, but she quickly established herself as gifted athletically. She's more than credible when out there kicking ass, even though she had to quickly bone up on all the martial arts stuff. It's the other side, the kinda skeevy, awkward romantic scenes that are just, ugh. Like this one, where she slinks into a hot tub with a guy and a couple of other pissed off chicks. Of course, She slaughters them all, but what's with all the weird foreplay? I'm sorry, is that the ninja's influence? I don't get it.
Watch it.
Along with the absolutely gonzo concept, Cannon went way overboard with the product placement on Ninja 3 in ways they've never done before. Firstenberg has said the production received loads and loads of V8 from advertisers, and so to make them happy, he just, well, made a seduction scene out of it. As a kid, I thought this meant she was a vampire too. Maybe she was, I don't know. And what was with the bouncer video game? Somehow it managed to possess an already possessed Christie, giving new meaning to the term video game addict. It also was there as a way of cramming in some product placement to appease the money folks, although now the bouncer arcade cabinets are like a collector's item, so if you got one, put it on eBay for some sweet, sweet coin, my dude.
Baby, we better stop.
No. You finish it. Get rid of the son of a bitch.
The 80s were just nuts, and Ninja 3 The Domination might be one of the best examples of how unhinged that time was. Unfortunately, the fickle American consumer had started to turn their attention to other fads by this point, and the box office reflected it. The film only made a little over $7 million, which is okay considering the $2 million budget, and of course, it became a cult favorite that killed in home video sales. Cannon wasn't hurt by this one at all. Well, at least not financially. They had alienated Kosugi with Ninja 3, and he struck out on his own after this. His career was spotty after parting from Cannon, making a comeback many years later with Ninja Assassin in 2009. Ninja 3 was not only the final film that Dickie did with Cannon, it was her final lead role, period. After appearing in 1988's Cheerleader Camp, she quietly retired from acting. Ninja 3 The Domination isn't the kick-ass flick that Revenge of the Ninja was. It's the kind of film you watch with a bunch of buddies over some frosty adult beverages and a mountain of chicken wings. As a representative of everything that made Cannon great and special, I can't think of a movie that does it better.
Is it true that only a ninja can destroy a ninja?
It's true.
Ninja 3 The Domination gets 7 out of 10 Stallones. Moving on to Ninja 3. What was the relationship like between you and Sho going into that one? Because he kind of gets moved to the background a little bit in that movie, and it's kind of a different kind of film. You know, it's arriving around the time when breakdancing is starting to come along, and you know, and there's a lot more fantasy and supernatural elements. How did your relationship work out with that film, with his role kind of changing?
Okay. Now, we finished the movie. I'm going back to Revenge of the Ninja. We finished the product, everything ready, finished the product. And Canon Film was a young starting company.
Yeah.
And like many other independent companies that I mentioned before, Corelco, etc. Now, the dream of every company, independent company, is when they finish a movie, they will be able to sell it to a major distributor. When I say major, I mean studios.
Yep.
So Universal, it's called pickup. So Universal will pick up the movie, Paramount will pick up the movie. But that's pretty hard because the standards of those companies are very high. They don't pick up any small, tiny movie. They want the movies to be on their at least minimal standard of quality. So Canon, by then, they produced already few horror picture and those two action movies and some other. And they were always peddling around, trying to see who will pick up the movie, especially for North American distribution, what's called domestic distribution. And none of those movies were ever picked up by anyone. And suddenly they show of course, so Revenge of the Ninja, they show it around, and MGM says, yes, we'll take it. MGM at the time, 1973, was a big company, MGM UA, for distributing a movie. So they took it and they built a beautiful campaign. The poster behind you was actually prepared by MGM graphic department, not by Canon. They did the poster that is behind you right now. And a good campaign, campaign in English, campaign in Spanish. They kind of invited me here and there out of being polite. The director has nothing to do with the directors have nothing to do with the marketing and distribution usually. But anyway, they were polite, invited me. So I saw radio campaign, television campaign. And they opened the movie big, 800 theater in the East Coast, so-called east of the Mississippi. And then they moved the 800 print to the west of the Mississippi. It was pretty big. In New York, the movie was at the top of the box office when it opened, the week it opened. So the movie was successful suddenly, and Canon was happy. They finally have a relationship with MGM. Of course, they want a sequel immediately. Another sequel. Okay, let's go for it. Now, you come to a point that I don't know. I'm not in the knowledge. Something happened between Canon and Sho Kosugi, Menachem Golan. Sho was not only the star of Revenge of the Ninja. He was providing the wardrobe. He was providing the weapon. He had a much bigger deal.
Yeah, he did. He did a lot of stuff.
He brought his two sons into it. He was enterprise, Sho Kosugi enterprise. So anyway, something happened, which I don't know. I don't know until today. Or maybe from a commercial point of view. And then Menachem Golan calls me into his office. He says, Sam, we want to make a sequel, naturally, but I want to change it. I don't want Sho Kosugi to be the hero of the next movie. And let's look for something else. I don't know. And he came up with the idea. He said, let's make it a woman. Let's make it a young lady. She will be the hero. But, at that time was Alien, Sigourney Weaver. So maybe they thought about, and of course, the Flashdance. There were a few movies with a female star.
Definitely a Flashdance.
Carry on and did nicely in the box office. So maybe this, I don't know. I don't know the reason. I don't want to speculate too much. And from my point of view, it was okay. I want to direct the movie. I don't have to voice my opinion. And actually, it's a challenge. So we had the same writer. Jim Silk was the writer of Revenge of the Ninja, and he was hired to write a new movie, Ninja 3. We didn't have any idea, nothing. And we started to work on the script, but they wanted Sho Kosugi, the company. They didn't want him to be the hero anymore, but they wanted him in the story, one way or another. So that's the deal between them, I don't know. Now, obviously, Sho was upset. Here we have a movie that just came out, did so well, introduced the Western world to this concept of ninja, doing well, not only in North America, also all over the world. And the company wants to make another movie without him being the hero again,
right?
Or the star of the show again. And that's why he came to Hollywood, to be a star. He wanted, as I said. And so that's upset him a little bit, or more than a little bit, or a lot. And secondly, he really objected the idea that a woman will be the hero of a ninja movie. He believed, and he expressed it to us, that a woman does not have enough power, physical power, to carry on a action movie of this kind. It's not Sigourney Weaver going around with a gun. She has to act physical stuff.
Right.
And, there was a Cynthia Rothrock at the time. She was not a big star, but she did some martial art movies. And
I did China O'Brien on our series a few months ago. It's one of my favorites. One of my personal favorites.
So she was around. We considered her. It didn't work out. She was considered to be the star, but it didn't work out for some reason. I don't remember. And So there was objection from Sho Kosugi. He didn't want, he will not appear in a movie like this, etc., and so on and so on. So Jim Silk, the writer, and myself, we think about it. How do we break this deadlock? What can we come up with? Any idea that will change, will break this?
Yeah.
And then at the time, Poltergeist was a big movie, of course. And I said, well, Poltergeist, that's a good idea. This woman of us, the hero, she's not a ninja. She's obsessed. She was taking, her body was taken hostage by a dead ninja, a real ninja.
She's possessed.
So,
yeah.
So it's not her. She's overtaken. And we presented this idea to Sho Kosugi. There will be a ninja, an evil ninja. He will die right away in the beginning. His spirit, he will take over her body. So he keeps his spirit. And everything she's doing is while she's possessed by this spirit of the ninja. And eventually, at the end of the story, you come and you have to save her. And you will have to fight. He will be resurrected and you will have to fight it. He bought the idea. He agreed to this idea. And we were free, Jim Silk, the writer, and myself, to go ahead and write the script. Wow. So at the time, I was very influenced by Poltergeist. I love Poltergeist, Tobe Hooper movie. And you know, Exorcist was the first horror movie I ever saw in my life. I never saw a horror picture before Exorcist.
That's a hell of a place to
shocked
start.
me, you know. Exorcist, what a movie. So he brought in elements for Exorcist. We brought in elements from Poltergeist, and Flashdance that we mentioned was a big movie right there. This woman who is an industrial woman, and she's a welder, and she dances in the evenings, appealed to us very much. We brought her into the story. She came into the story. So, but eventually what happened, the script became a hybrid of different genres of movies folded into a ninja movie. So you had ninja, you had Poltergeist, you had the spiritual, you had exorcism, the dancing lady, industrial lady. It became, at the time it made sense to me. I didn't know that it will look, what do I say, cheesy or crazy later on, and it will have a new life much later on.
It's still a cult favorite.
People
still love it.
Could not, in our wildest dream, we could not predict the history of this movie, what's going to happen to this movie within the years. So, but that's how it came about. Now, Sho became very, your question was about Sho Kosugi. He became very reserved. He told us right away he's not going to train Lucinda. You know, as I told
Lucinda
you,
Dickey,
Cynthia, I don't remember. Cynthia was working, busy. In any case, we ended up with Lucinda Dickey.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, she was not, she was cast to Breaking because she made the Ninja 3, but Breaking came out in the theater before before Ninja 3 The Domination. Yep. So many people ask me if we saw her in Breaking, but it was the other way around.
Yeah.
And she was athletic. She was a dancer. Lucinda is a dancer. So we knew, you know, among the casting, and she had a nice broad shoulder. She had the element that will fit into this part.
She's definitely physical.
And she was dancer. So she will learn. She was not a martial artist, but we knew if she was dancer, she will learn the moves very quickly. It's not much different from a dance.
All right.
You know, talking about it, even in Revenge of the Ninja, when I sit back on my director's chair and I see Sho Kosugi perform, it's like a ballerina. It's like a ballet.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And there is a difference. You can see difference between different performance of different martial artists. Sho Kosugi is amazing. Later, I work with Mike Stone. I work with Tadashi Yamashita. Those people are different level of beauty in the movement.
Yeah.
So anyway,
the best
so
cinematic fights to me always look like a complicated dance between two people. You know, that's why the best best fight.
Especially those fights that they are not harming each other.
Yeah.
You know, exhibition fights.
Yeah.
So he made it a point right away. He's not going to train Lucinda. His assistant Ellen Amiel was in charge of training Lucinda, taking care. We had the same stunt coordinator, Steve Lambert. With luckily enough, he's also a martial artist, and he's pretty short, Steve Lambert. So he fits, so he doubled for Lucinda because of the height. So Steve Lambert was the double for Lucinda. He did most of the stuff that is supposedly Lucinda is doing. And Sho kind of was reserved more in this movie, unlike Revenge of the Ninja that we cooperated tightly, myself and him. This time, not so much.
Yeah.
But whatever he came to his but he was still the advisor, the overall, the big advisor of martial art. So he would say, no, that's not the way it's done. Let's do it a little bit later. But he would send his assistants to work with Lucinda. And here and there he doubles. Here and there he doubles in the movie. But mainly it was Steve Lambert who doubled. And in some specific areas we needed female gymnasts, to do specific stuff, flips, double salt, stuff like that. So she also had there was also a double. Another woman was around doubling her and Steve Lambert together, but he was reserved. And we had a problem in the ending, at the end of the movie, with some kind of a conflict. In our mind, the writer and myself, at the end of the movie, Lucinda, which is now free of the spirit at the end of the movie, the spirit comes out of her, but still she kills the evil ninja who came back to life. And this really didn't work for Sho. He wanted to be the one.
Yeah.
And we had kind of a conflict, and eventually I told him, Sho, let's leave it. The final sequence, and this movie was filmed in Phoenix, Arizona. Mm-hmm. And in the temple, it starts inside the temple. We found the temple and we, decorated it, and it ended up in the hills in the mountain outside. So it came to head. We couldn't resolve it. As I told Sho, we told Sho, not only with consulting the company, say, Sho, let's stop here. We'll edit the movie and we'll do the ending in Los Angeles. We'll find some mountain. So it was. So we finished the filming, 8 weeks filming in Arizona. We came home, we completely edited the movie, and we decided to do the final fight or final struggle between Sho and the evil ninja. But still, Lucinda, so it's not very clear who ended, who killed. One day I worked with Sho, a few days with the evil ninja, and then for one day they couldn't be together on the same.
I was gonna say.
The other day I brought Lucinda and Jordan, the so-called, he was the boyfriend.
I was gonna say them to like Sho and Lucinda shared a lot of screen time together.
And in editing, it's all editing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't seem like they shared a lot of screen time together.
No. But even there is a fight. They're fighting in a building, in a unfinished building, but it's not her, because at this point she's all covered with the. So he's actually fighting mainly with Steve Lambert, and she has few close-ups, but once she's covered totally and you only see her eyes, it's very easy to double. Very easy to double.
I gotta ask, what was your influence behind the seduction scene? With the V8 can and all that. What inspired you to do that scene?
But it kind of, it's coincidental. Few things came out of it. Okay, we built this her apartment, modern industrial type of an apartment. Yeah. And her character was that she was independent, initiator. She fights with the bad guys in the street later. And then, so here you have this element, we have Lucinda. On the other hand, there is something which is called product placement in movies.
Yes.
Companies will give a lot of their product to a movie for free, let's say drinks or wardrobe. And the only condition is that you use it in the movie. In some big studio movies, they pay, it's a hidden advertisement. But in our case, in Revenge of the Ninja, we had Nike, Pete Vitale works at it. And we got so many Nike stuff, shoes and everything for free. But Pete Vitale. Now here, we got V8, tons and tons and tons of V8. So on the set, there were drinks. Maybe the same company, maybe they gave us a few more drinks, but there were tons and tons of these little cans of V8. on the set, and everybody who wants to drink. But at some points we had to show it. So I said, okay, this on this particular scene, we'll put it on the side next to the bed. So this will be our obligation to show the V8 scene. But we couldn't work out the seduction. Jordan Bennett, Lucinda Dickey, and myself, we are talking about it. The standard, the Hollywood cliches to use champagne, to use wine. She pours the wine on herself, and he's licking the wine, whatever, Hollywood. And then one of them, I don't think it was my idea, if I remember correctly, maybe Jordan said, why don't we use the V8? It was just right there. And Lucinda, in her character, that she's a health conscious, she's exercising, she's an aerobic teacher, so it's fit for her as an actress.
Yeah.
It works. It's good. it works with the character. Yeah. Jordan liked it, and I did not object. I
classic scene. Everybody loves that scene.
You know what? This movie is so crazy. This movie is so out of any standard in a Hollywood movie. Let's go for it. Who cares? Let's see what happens. And that's what it happened.